Hi, it's Kyle from Bitewing Games, and today we're discussing The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. That's a little bit of a mouthful, so from here on out I'll just call it The Crew. The Crew is a game for 3 to 5 players that's advertised as playing in about 20 minutes. The Crew is a cooperative trick-taking game. So let's break that down real quick. Cooperative, players will be playing together trying to accomplish something, so you win or lose together. And trick-taking, one player will lay one of the 4 suits, and all other players will follow suit, the trump suit. Whoever played the highest of that trump suit wins the trick, that set of cards. In the box, there are 2 sets of identical cards, 4 suits labeled 1 through 9. You will deal the large cards out evenly to all players. In the Crew, you are trying to accomplish missions, which are played over a series of rounds. These missions are explained in the logbook. For example, the first mission is draw 1 card from the objective deck, the smaller set of cards. A certain player is given the commander token, and your group objective is for that player, the commander, to win the trick that has that card in it. You don't have to play through all of your cards, you just have to keep playing until the commander wins that card. Or if another player wins that card in a trick, you have lost and you start the objective over again. The logbook has 50 missions, increasing in difficulty as you go. So that first objective is for the commander to win 1 card. As you progress, you will come upon a mission that has 4 cards that different players are supposed to win in a particular order. So you can tell it gets a lot more difficult as you go. In some ways it sounds easy, right? You just have to get one certain player to win a certain card. The catch to the game is there's no real communication. The only communication that you can do is lay one of the cards from your hand and place this token on the card. At the top of the card signifies this is the highest card of this suit you have. If you play the token at the bottom of the card, that shows other players this is the lowest card of the suit you have. And if you play it in the middle of the card, it tells other players this is the only card of this color that you have in your hand. And you can only do that once per round. So you really have to be careful with your communication because it's very limited. So is the Crew fun? I love the communication restrictions in this game. I can't share exactly what I have in my hand, but I do have a way to communicate some information to you. That really lets me psychoanalyze other players of why they laid a certain card, showing me that that was their highest or lowest. And I can really deduce a lot of information based off of that. I love the flexible playtime in this game. It's advertised as 20 minutes, but I honestly have no idea where they got that number from. You could play one of the rounds in about 5 minutes. It would take you over 12 hours to play through the entire objective book. And so I just love that when I pull the game out, if the group's not having that much fun, we can play 1 or 2 rounds, 10 minutes in, and we put the game away, and we don't feel like we quit in the middle of a game. But if we're having a great time, we can play the game for an entire hour and just keep playing until we feel like we've had our fill. From a design standpoint, I love that there's a built-in tutorial. The first few rounds are a very simple, here's how to play the game, but you're learning while playing the game, and it ramps up to more difficult levels. I also really love that the rounds are so short, so that if you take a big risk and you put a card out there and it may make you fail your objective, whatever. If you fail, you start back over. But if it pays off, you feel so good that you pieced pieces of information together to help your team to win. There is a 2-player variant to the game, and I like it. I think it's good that they have an option for 2 players. I definitely prefer it at least 3, but the 2-player variant is still a good option if you're just playing with the 2 of you. On to the negatives. I typically will only play the game for about 30 minutes, and then I feel more than satisfied. It's a trick-taking game, which in some ways to me is a little bit repetitive. You lay cards, 1 player wins the cards. You lay cards, 1 player wins the cards. There's not that much else to it. And that's okay, that's just the type of game it is. But to me, this game is a little bit more of a filler and not a main entree. If I'm getting a bunch of friends together for a game night, this is maybe a game I'll play to warm us up, but it's not what I'm inviting people over to play. I'm also not overly invested in the scoring of the game. There's a way to keep track of the scores in the logbook of how many attempts it took you to win objectives and play through all 50 missions, but I honestly don't know if I'll ever play through all 50 missions, because it is a game that I just pull out on occasion and not one that I'm playing for game night. Overall, I give The Crew 4 stars. I honestly think it's one of the best card games out there. I highly recommend it. However, I do feel like it's a little bit more of an appetizer or light snack than a main meal, for my preference. I think it's a great gateway game, a great game to get your family and friends into board games if they aren't really, but not necessarily one that I want to play all evening. As a closing note, I've taught this game to a lot of new players, and so I've tended to play the first few rounds over and over and over again. When I've gotten to the later objectives that are more difficult, I tend to have a lot better of an experience. I'm on the edge of my seat and I'm invested in the game a little bit more. So I think getting through the game and not just playing the first few levels is definitely the best way to go. I would love to know what your favorite card game is. Let me know in the comments below. Until next time.